Professor Stan Ridgely in just a moment, and he's going to give you guys a really cool presentation about what is business and how you guys can start to think about your future careers and maybe what you're looking to study in college. I did pass out just some information cards. If you do want to get more information from Drexel, feel free to fill this out. And I have business cards at the end. We'll talk a little bit about if you're interested in Drexel after Professor Ridgely's presentation. But he's one of our faculty in our management department. So he teaches courses in strategy and entrepreneurship. And he went to UNC and Duke for his degrees. So I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
What is business? The topic of my talk today is what is the purpose of business? It's a paradoxical question in the sense that it's both hard to answer and it's easy to answer. It's easy for anyone in the business school like myself to answer that question. It's difficult for people outside the business school to answer that question. Folks on the street don't really know what business is all about. Somehow there's something unsavory, something black magic, dark magic about business. What is the purpose of business? It is the creation of society's wealth for the prosperity of the country. Isn't that simple? It's the creation of society's wealth for the prosperity of the country. And under that rubric, under that overarching umbrella, I talk with you today. But let me interject something right here. One of the things you have to learn when you go to college and you have a professor like me, I'm one of those guys who, when you come into the classroom and you sit in the back row right here, I say, no, 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 you come up here and you sit in the front row. And there's no reward for showing up to my classes late, because the people who show up late try to filter in and sit in the back. No, I invite people who come in late to sit right down in front, and I reserve special seats for the late people. So that's one thing I want you to store away from your mind when you go to business school, wherever you happen to go to college. I talk with you today about three things. One is your profession, magic, and the most important question that all of us face really throughout most of our lives. Now, before I go into this, I want to talk with you or let you know something about myself. I'm an optimist. I believe fundamentally that, with one eye on the past, that yeah, today is better than yesterday was, but more important, tomorrow will be better than today. Next week will be better than this week. Next year will be better than this year. Why? Because I'm going to make it better. I'm going to create my own future because I'm an optimist, which is the opposite of being a fatalist. I'm not some piece of lumber floating on the ocean buffeted by impersonal societal forces. I can control my fate to a large extent. And that's really what we talk about in business school. Let me talk about your profession, okay? Your profession. How do you conceive of yourself professionally? What will be your profession when you leave high school, you go to college, you graduate from college? What will you do? That's good chin scratching stuff, right? Try that one time. Scratch your chin this way, huh? Look thoughtful for me. Yeah, very good. Right here, young lady. I see, you're not scratching. There you go. Yeah, that's good. It's a very thoughtful look we all can acquire, we all can utilize. Right through here, please. Why don't you sit right down here in the front row? Remember I told you about that? Right down here, right here in the front row is good. For you two right here. What will be your profession? I want you to imagine, I want you to engage the gears of your imagination right now. I want you to imagine yourself in a meeting 10 years from now. Your posse, your entourage, your friends, your compadres here at Radnor High School, you're going to be meeting. You all will have graduated high school and gone on to your various professions, and now you're going to get together for a little reunion. And you find that some of you have gone on to, your friends outside business, have gone on to other professions. In your meeting, you'll find someone one of your buddies has become a doctor, one has become, say, a lawyer, another's become a soldier, another's become a philosopher. Someone might want to be an artist, like my daughter became an artist, went to the Temple and the Tyler School of Art, and then there's you. Then there's you. What do you do? So imagine this meeting, each of you talks about what's important about your profession. The doctor, what does the doctor say? I heal the sick, medicine is noble. The lawyer says, I resolve disputes for the people. The law is a noble profession. The soldier, I serve and protect the nation. Military is a noble profession. The philosopher, I conceive of better worlds. Philosophy is noble. The artist, I interpret the world for humankind. Art is noble. And then they turn to you. Turn to you. And you say, I'm a manager. I'm motivated to be a prophet. I earn money. And I'm ashamed.
Shame on you. What a shame.
Is that what you say? Is that what you're going to say? Because there's a part of you in the back of your mind who feels ashamed of saying, I'm going to go into business, because we don't really know how to articulate, generally speaking, the nobility of business and what business is all about. You're not going to say this. You're not going to say that at all. You're going to say, I'm a manager, and I create wealth, and I make everything that you do possible. I create power. I create clothing. I create shelter. I create light. I create the buildings we work in. I create the canvases you paint on. I create all of that. I create everything that makes everything else possible. I get excited about that stuff. I'm sorry. I get worked up, and I apologize. I get energized. I get jazzed, and I hope you do too. Business is good. Business is good because it creates value. Business is ethical because it's based on voluntary exchange. Business is noble because it elevates
There are still
our
plenty of
existence.
Krispy Kreme donuts for sale down in the cafeteria.
Business in action. Business is noble because it elevates our existence, and it is heroic because it lifts people out of poverty and creates prosperity for the nation. Who said this? Who said it? Was some robber baron from the Gilded Age of the United States from the 1870s to 1900, someone like Jay Gould or Jim Fisk or J.P. Morgan or Cornelius Vanderbilt, one of those dastardly robber barons? Maybe it was one of those dastardly robber barons like Anthony J. Drexel, the namesake of our college. No, it was someone who you're very familiar with. John Mackey, CEO of Whole Foods, said this. John Mackey said this in his book, Conscious Capitalism. John Mackey was a Marxist back in the 1970s when he founded Whole Foods. And he was a Marxist up until the day that he had to meet a payroll when business had not been good. And he had to pay his workers, but he couldn't pay himself. And at that point in time, he recognized, I'm taking a great risk here in our modern capitalist system, and I deserve a reward for that risk if I apply myself against the hostile environment that we find ourselves in sometimes when we engage in business. So business is good, noble, it is ethical, and it is heroic. What about the manager? What does a manager do? What do managers do? Well, we are the creators of the society's wealth. We manage, we build the world, and we make everything that everyone else does possible. How do we do this? We do this with the 4 functions that I teach in my classes. In fact, what I'm giving you right now is exactly what I say in my class. You're getting a mini living LeBeau college classroom. We plan, we organize, we lead, and we control. We plan for the future, envisioning what the future might look like. Then we acquire, obtain, and distribute and utilize the resources necessary to make that future corporeal or real or tangible. Then we lead others, because a business person is nothing else if not a leader. And finally, we control. What does control mean? Control means nothing more than ensuring that the right things are being done at the right time and the right place. It's basically like an examination that you get here at Radnor High School. The teacher controls to make sure that you are indeed learning what you're supposed to be learning, evaluating the results of our efforts. We are privy, you as young business people, are privy to the secrets of the black box of business. I brought a black box of business with me. Privy to the magic inside the black box of business. And in every one of my classes, I have a black box. Not this black box, I have a bigger black box, suitable for the college classroom and a larger audience of about 50 people. And I put this on my stand right here, covered in velvet, to remind my students in every class that we are privy to the secrets of the black box. You're probably wondering to yourself, I hope he doesn't call on me. I don't know what the heck is in that black box. Yes, you do. You have an intuitive understanding about what is in the black box of business. There's the black box of business. What's inside here? We business people understand what's inside here. I'm going to tell you what's inside the black box of business and not embarrass you by calling on you. It leads me to the second portion of what I talked about. Magic. Magic. What do I mean by magic? Well, let me introduce what I'm talking about, magic. Wealth is a mysterious term. And when I say wealth, I don't mean money in the bank. That's the commonplace vernacular we use nowadays. People think about wealth, they think about, oh, I'm going to become a wealth manager, financial wealth manager. No, I'm not talking about wealth in money in the bank. I'm talking about the fulfillment of human needs, fulfillment of human desires. taking something here, raw materials, and doing something to it and making it more valuable than it was. Raising sheep, shearing the wool, taking the wool and spinning it into yarn, and making a sweater on a loom, dyeing that sweater with dye, and then having people pay you for it. Creating something of value out of raw materials. Now, in business school, we teach how to create wealth. I'm on Facebook, okay, I admit that. I admit I'm on Facebook. And I was having a chat with someone, a friend of mine, an ex-friend of mine actually, who had a master's, has a master's in linguistics from the University of Texas at Austin, a bright young woman. And we were having a chat, and I said, listen, I have to go teach a class. She said, what are you teaching? I said, well, teaching, Mom. In business school, we teach how to create wealth. And her answer so flabbergasted me that it brought home to me the notion that what happens outside the business school, people do not understand. And they look at the black box of business, and they think what goes on inside this black box of business is magic. She said to me this: your bookstore must sell magic wands. What? Does this young woman not know what we do in the business school, and that the idea of the systematic creation of wealth is what we do, and it's not magic? It's a very medieval view today we have. People going back to the Middle Ages don't understand that we in business create wealth. We do it systematically. It grips much of the modern view of business and wealth. And if we think of Game of Thrones, which is kind of a mythological view of the medieval world, wealth is obtained only three ways. You inherit it, you find it on the ground, or you steal it. The idea of systematic creation of wealth is absent in the Middle Ages. And unfortunately, I find that it's absent. The idea is absent in the modern mind outside the business school. So I introduce to you, again, the black box of business. Here we have a black box, we move that to the center. What's in that black box? Well, we have inputs and we have outputs. The black box model is something we use in social sciences, we use it in natural sciences, to explain something. We don't really want to get into what's in the black box of business. We do know that if we put certain things in here, something happens, and what comes out is worth more than what went in. Well, we in the business school understand what goes on inside the black box. It's the managerial magic. We take raw materials over here, we put them in here, do something, and something comes out that's more valuable. Makes sense, doesn't it? There's nothing magical about it. We systematically do something to those resources inside the black box of business. This is what's in there. Finance, accounting, retail, e-commerce, research and development, operations and IT. All of this goes on inside the black box of business. The different sub-disciplines of what we do in business. And my course, one of my many courses actually, the capstone course at your senior level, what everyone has to take. You come to Drexel, LeBeau College of Business, you will take my course at the end of your college career. We learn how to assemble these elements, how to coordinate those elements, make them work together to the way we want them to work together, so that we create something worth more than what went into the black box of business. Because if we do not, we go out of business, and those resources are freed up for someone who has more acumen than us to create wealth. Which brings me to the third aspect of our talk today, the most important question that's on your mind. Let me start by asking or generating the word, offering you the word Gestalt. Who speaks German in here? Any German speakers in here taking German? Gestalt is a German word, and it's used in psychology, like Gestalt psychology. Literally translated, it means figure or pole. But with respect to dynamism, it means that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. A more common word might be synergy. The idea that we take it's creation of wealth. We take something, we bring people together, we bring resources together, and we generate something marvelous and wonderful. And we have bad Gestalt. You walk down the street, and you see this group of people here. You know something bad is going to happen. You don't know what. But you know it's not going to be good. Likewise, we have good Gestalt. I see this group of people here. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who they are, but I suspect something good is going to happen. I see this group of people. I figure something good is going to happen. I see this group of people. Yeah, something good is going to happen. I see this group of people here, and here, and here. And it looks an awful lot like what I'm looking at right here, and what I see in my classes. And I know that something good is going to happen because good things happen when smart people come together. I don't know what that might be, but that's why I love working in the university. Lots of self-selecting, committed, devoted smart people coming together for a common purpose in our classes. Something good is going to happen. Now look at this. You think if you're going to go to college, it's going to look a lot like this, right? Sway with the music here. Yeah, you're getting into it. There you go. It's going to look an awful lot like this, right? Yeah. You've seen the brochures. You're ready for college right now, right? And there I am. And there you are. How about this right here? You've seen the brochures, and maybe we're having class outside in the spring, summer months, going outside. Look at that. Yeah. I'm out there wearing a beret and a vest, and I'm reading poetry to you guys. Look at that. But no. The question on everyone's mind is this. It's the question that, for some reason, people chuckle when they see that. Because all it is what's the future? What's the future? That is the question that befuddles all of us throughout our entire lives. We want to know what the future is. We desperately want to know what that future is. And it's the CEO's question. The most important question to the CEO, what is the future? What is the future? Now, we don't want to know the future in business. We can't know the future, but we can reduce uncertainty. If we could know the future, we would all be fantastic business people, wouldn't we? But there's no one future. Here's something I want you to take away. There's no one future. There is only your future. When we think of it that way, it's much easier to get a hold of, much easier to grasp, much easier to deal with. There's only your future. And the main activity we engage in here, meaning my classes, is that we want to reduce uncertainty with regard to your personal career, with regard to your professional endeavors. Because the best way to predict the future is to create it. Who said this? Is Peter Drucker, the greatest management theorist of the 20th and on into the 20th century, 21st century. Died at age 95, writing his 41st book, as lucid as ever, sitting in his wheelchair. And he said the best way to predict the future is to create it. A quote that Steve Jobs took as his own. And so, in my classes, we teach you how to become a strategic thinker, which is one way of reducing uncertainty. Another way, we can say, we're going to predict the future, because we're going to create the future. And this means this is important. Where you want to be 5 years from now informs what you do today. I'll repeat that. Where you want to be 5 years from now informs what you do today. That's basically the definition of a dynamic definition of what a strategic thinker is and what a successful business person is. A future belongs to those who prepare for it today. A famous quote from Malcolm X, which is essentially what we do in business. Optimism. Capitalism, which is a pejorative term given to our free market economic system by its critics, a word that I don't really use. We talk about free market economics. It's an optimistic system that predicated on the belief that tomorrow will be better than today. Is everyone in here an optimist? Who is an optimist? Raise your hand, please. I'm not going to call on you. Do you believe that tomorrow's going to be pretty good? I rarely have anyone say, well, no, I'm not an optimist. No. Tomorrow's going to suck. And the day after that's going to be even worse. No, most of us are optimists. We are optimists. Why? Because the future isn't something that just happens to you. It's not, and we learned this at Drexel. The future is something that you create yourself, and we show you how to create that future. So in conclusion, we can see that the manager does indeed create the wealth of the world. And that's what you should say. I'm a manager. I plan, organize, lead, and control in the creation of a wealth of society that ensures our prosperity. Because business is good, ethical, noble, and heroic. We can see that the magic of business, people would look at us and say, oh, this is magic. No, it's not. It's systematic wealth creation. The wealth of society that ensures our prosperity. And finally, the most important question that faces each of us, what's the future, is really not that great a dilemma. If you embrace the tools, the techniques, the dynamism, the energy, the optimistic attitude that we inculcate at Drexel, then you can succeed and answer that question, what's the future? And that, my friends, is what we do in my classes at the LeBeau College of Business, and I hope that I see all of you in those classes in the years to come. That concludes my presentation. I will take your questions, but not right yet, because we are going to hear from Heather, and she's going to talk about the where, the whys and wherefores, and how to negotiate the application process and to join our community of scholars. Heather.
Thank you. Can I use your clip?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. So for those of you who came in a little bit late, I'm just going to pass these out. If you guys like what you heard and you want to know a little bit more about Drexel, please fill those forms out so that we can just share some more information with you. And then we have about 5 minutes left, is that right? So I just wanted to quickly just give you guys a little bit of information about the LeBeau College of Business. You know, as Professor Ridgely said, he is one of our management professors there as well as entrepreneurship. And we have some really amazing faculty there. So this type of presentation is the excitement of what you would see in the college classroom as well. So at the business school, we do offer a number of different programs. We have all of the traditional or core functional business areas like marketing, accounting, finance, but we also have some really unique programs at Drexel. One of those is our business and engineering program, which combines those two curriculums together. We also have business analytics, which is huge right now. We're seeing a ton of interest in that because as technology improves and we're getting all of this data, somebody has to figure out how to use that. How do you apply that? So if you're on Facebook and you see an ad for a pair of shoes you're looking at on another website, this data is kind of what's fueling that information on the back end. So that's a really cool program that we also offer. And these are just some examples of the courses that you might take. So I think what's really cool about our curriculum at Drexel is that you're going to start the business classes from day one. The first course you'll take with us is called Business 101, and in that course, you're actually going to get a sampling of all of those different programs that I just talked about. So you'll learn a little bit about business analytics, you'll learn a little bit about finance, you'll learn a little bit about organizational behavior, and you get to kind of taste test all of them to see what you're most interested in. Because you may have some idea now, you may not. About 50% of our incoming class doesn't know what area of business they want, and that's fine. Because that course is one of the ways that you're going to get to try them out. You do a lot of team projects, a lot of applied learning. That's something we're really passionate about at Drexel, is making sure that you're always seeing how what you're learning in the classroom is really relevant in the workforce. So for example, this week our students are doing their 5-minute pitches. And in that project, they work as a team to come up with a product or service, and then they have to do a 5-minute presentation as they would to investors, basically selling their product, of why it's a good product, why they should get funding. So really interesting kind of projects that you would do as a student with us.
Do you guys still co-op?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the next part actually. Yep, so co-op is probably one of the biggest things that we're known for, and definitely part of what makes us who we are, a huge part of it. And what that is kind of like an internship on steroids. So you really get to take what you're learning in the classroom and then go work for 6 months.
I'm sorry.
So,
I think
well, yeah. So just last thing before I let you guys go, if you do want to spend more time at Drexel, we have all of these types of visits that you can come on. Like if you want to come sit in on a full classroom, you can do that. And we also have a summer camp. So if you want to take a picture of this, you can follow us on Snapchat, Instagram, or just send me an email. I have some cards as well. And just get in touch with me if you do want to learn a little bit more about Drexel.
you'll see Heather at your office.
Yes, we will.
Great.
My business card is right up here. You can take one if you'd like to follow up and ask any questions you want to ask this morning.